Tonight on KGW News, survivors in Texas try to cope with the devastation.
We just held each other tight and I held her all night.
With 160 people still missing after the flood.
Words cannot even begin to describe the heartache my family is going through.
A daughter's emotionally torn plea as her father faces life in prison decades later for her mother's murder. Then,
so what it basically boils down to is human recreation over nature.
How advocates say Oaks Park's newest ride could harm wildlife and why the city supports it anyway.
And caught on camera how lifeguards saved a deer struggling in the ocean while being circled by sharks.
I saw two of those big fins come out of the water and I was like, oh my gosh.
Thanks for joining us. I'm David Molko. We begin tonight in Yamhill County, where witnesses, including a young boy, saw a sheriff's deputy shoot and kill a stabbing suspect authorities say was still wielding the knife. A warning, some of the details here are disturbing. Libby Dowsett has our top story from the Valley's Edge RV Park in Sheridan.
For a lot of us elderly people around here, it was scary. We heard the shots, but we didn't know where it came from. At first, we thought they were fireworks.
Neighbors at Valley's Edge RV Park say it was chaos.
A guy without a shirt on was running this way, chasing these other people.
Police say an altercation between a man and some neighbors started the chain of events. Peggy Hughes heard the altercation and saw the man running across the park right toward her two roommates sitting outside their RV. What'd you see out the kitchen window?
A bald guy doing this. That's much I can say. Except it hurt to see them like that.
Minutes later, witnesses say a Yamhill County Sheriff's deputy arrived. 10-year-old Daniel, who spoke to us with his family, says he witnessed the deputy shoot the man who stabbed the couple.
The cop got out of his car and put out his gun and said, "Don't move," but the guy kept moving, so the officer shot him like 3 times.
Everybody's pretty worried. I mean, everybody I talked to last night, especially the people here, I mean, they have two toddlers and a 2-month-old.
I saw the 2 victims being taken to the ambulance, and they didn't rush, so I assumed they were stable.
And even some concern for the man shot by the deputy.
I couldn't sleep because of it. And I went over there and I said a prayer for him.
John Birchfeld says he didn't know those involved, but it's affected him just the same.
You know, when you live in a place like this where it's transient, you don't make it a habit to make friends with your neighbors.
Newburgh-Dundee Police and the Major Crimes Team from Yamhill County are still investigating the details of this case. They hope to review video and get more information released in the near future. Libby Dowsett, KGW News.
To an update now in Washington County, where a man recently convicted of killing his estranged wife nearly 40 years ago has been sentenced to life in prison. 71-year-old Robert Atrops will be eligible for parole after 25 years. In 1988, the body of Debbie Atrops was found in the trunk of an abandoned car at a remote Beaverton construction site. DNA evidence helped investigators in the cold case unit link Robert to the murder. During the trial this spring, the state noted he showed no emotion. However, that changed today when his daughter addressed the court prior to sentencing.
When I was 8 months old, someone robbed me of getting to have a life with my mom, there to support my every milestone. My first birthday, kindergarten graduation, 8th grade promotion, high school graduation, my wedding.
While Rihanna Stevens spoke about the pain of losing her mother, she testified in support of her father, who she says has been there for her and his grandkids, and asked the judge for a lighter sentence.
Words cannot even begin to describe the heartache my family is going through. My children cry because they miss their grandpa.
Atrops attorneys say they plan to appeal. To get you caught up on tonight's other headlines now, the person stabbed in what appears to be a random daytime assault in the Montevilla neighborhood spoke today at his alleged attacker's arraignment. Investigators say 24-year-old Michael Cash stabbed Russell Archer near Southeast 91st and Stark on June 26. The attack was recorded here on surveillance video.
He stabbed me, And there was no robbing, no altercation, no communication. I've never seen this man before in my life. He ran up behind me and stabbed me and said, "Don't tell anyone."
Absolutely frightening. Cash pleaded not guilty to charges that include assault and will remain in jail for now. In Gresham, fire investigators are looking into 2 fires they believe were intentionally set. The first sparked around 5 this morning at the East Portland Moose Lodge. Crews got the flames out quickly and found 2 broken windows. 4 hours later, another fire was reported at a church nearby. Windows were also broken there. Investigators say they believe the cases are related and are asking anyone with information to call Gresham Fire. And the man accused in a deadly attack on Hayden Island has now appeared in court. 68-year-old Timothy Hudson pleaded not guilty to killing Richard Bowers, seen in this photo, who authorities say died of blunt force trauma. Court documents show Hudson told investigators it stemmed from a drunken brawl. He's also accused of attacking Bowers' girlfriend and her dog. Hudson is due back in court next month. Well, taking a live look at downtown Portland now, where a hot summer day has turned into a bit of a pleasant night with cooler weather now on the way. Chief Meteorologist Matt Safino here with a first look at your weather impact forecast. Hey there, Matt.
Hey, David. Thanks very much. You know, it is a really beautiful night out there, especially if you look to the south. And you can see the nearly full moon. It'll be full in a couple of days. It's called the buck moon in the month of July. Temperatures, though, have really begun to drop. 71 degrees. Look at that northwest wind at 13. That's key to the cooling that we're getting. We're running about 3-4 degrees cooler in the metro area. But look at McMinnville, 8 degrees cooler. Salem, 6 degrees cooler, and even more cooling in Eugene and Corvallis as well, as that marine layer air, that cool ocean air, has begun to just flood inland from the coast into the western valleys. And you can see it. Let's think of the northwest winds that we showed you in Portland, but southwest winds at McMinnville. Good indication of the cooler air coming in through the gaps in the coast range. Same with the south wind at Eugene, west winds at Salem, and southwest winds in McMinnville too. So it's happening. That cooler air is arriving right now. We'll have a nice, cool, fresh morning and a much different day tomorrow with lots of cloud cover, and not only not 90, we won't even see 80. Hey, then this happened tonight. It was rather interesting. One lone individual thunderstorm popped up in Clackamas County, raced across the gorge. Here are the remains of it now north of Mount Adams, heading out towards the Yakima reservation there. But yeah, we had a couple lightning strikes there, and I captured the tail end of this on time lapse from our Wells Fargo Skycam. Big, beautiful cumulus cloud moving on and off. This is late, of course. Sun's going down. The clouds still illuminate, but that happened. Doesn't happen very often at all. So cooler and cloudier tomorrow. Afternoon sun on Thursday, and then the return of the 90s. David?
Got to catch a break while we can. Thanks, Matt. We have some new reaction tonight to plans for a brand new thrill ride at Oaks Park, just approved by the city, a drop tower that will stand some 135 feet tall. Catherine Cook's here. Catherine, sounds like wildlife advocates who pushed to stop this are less than thrilled about it.
Absolutely, David. A big part of their concern is light pollution. By allowing certain aspects of this ride, advocates say that the city is going back on their commitment to protect hundreds of species of migratory birds that live right next door.
So here the priority is man and his recreation, and there the priority is the survival of the critters that depend upon that space. And this is where the two meet.
From a shady spot on the Springwater Trail, Marianne Nelson sheds light on an effort to reduce man-made light coming from Oaks Park to protect migratory birds, specifically birds that frequent the wildlife refuge at Oaks Bottom.
Do you know how they migrate? They go thousands of miles. What do they use? Starlight.
Nelson is with Friends of Oaks Bottom, which helps maintain this area. Wildlife advocates argue you can't see the stars over light pollution, something they fear will shoot straight out of this 135-foot drop tower ride headed to Oaks Park. The city's Permitting and Development Office approved zoning code changes requested by Oaks Park, allowing the ride. One change increased the property's height limit by more than 100 feet. Another allows the park to install lights on the tower that are not downward facing and shielded. Friends of Oaks Bottom and Bird Alliance of Oregon filed an appeal with the city, but lost.
I mean, all we were asking is that they put their lights down.
The city's ruling did offer compromise points. They lowered the original building height request by about 12 feet. And during October, when the park stays open later, the tower's lights will be limited to red and orange hues after sunset. In a statement, Oaks Park said it's grateful for the support of local officials in achieving a solution that allows them to bring a, quote, exciting new attraction to the community, noting they worked with lighting and wildlife experts to help reduce potential impact. Nelson disagrees.
So what it basically boils down to is human recreation over nature.
It's not clear when Oaks Park will build the new drop tower ride. They haven't shared a timeline. Wildlife advocates plan to connect with city council members and explore other options. David.
Thanks, Catherine. Appreciate the follow-up on that. New tonight, Portland General Electric has confirmed it has laid off dozens of full-time workers. In a statement, a PG spokesperson calling the elimination of 53 positions part of the company's, quote, ongoing work to keep bills as low as possible. He also pointed to cost pressures from increasing electricity demand. At the same time, PGE is transitioning to cleaner energy. New at 11, reports of bias crimes are down in Oregon, but officials worry it might actually not be a good sign. Let's run you through it. Overall, bias crime reports have dropped some 7% in 2024. That is the first decrease the state hotline has seen since its startup in 2020. Reports from African American, Hispanic, Pacific Islander, and Native American people saw a 16% decrease, and reports from gender nonconforming people dropped 34%. One stat that has increased: people taking the bias crime reports are getting more aggressive callers.
People that aren't really calling the line for any specific purpose other than to harass individuals that are trying to provide a service to Oregonians. We've seen that dramatically increase, and if I remember correctly, it's around 165%.
AG Rayfield there warning the decrease in bias crime calls just means fewer people are reporting incidents, not that fewer crimes are actually happening. He wants to make sure people know the state hotline is available. It is 844-924-BIAS. Those who call also have the option of getting help reporting the incident to law enforcement if they choose.